Hello, and welcome to the Regrettable Century. It is everyone, the dudes. We are all here. We are going to talk about year 7 of the existence of the Regrettable Century. We did it, guys. We made it 7 years.
Yeah, now all we have to do is 7 more years. And then 7 more years after that.
I'm standing on your shoulders.
Well, it's been hard. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for 7 years. It's an enormous amount of work with very little payoff, and I guess
yeah.
It seems like, I don't ever think like, oh, this is too much, I don't want to do this anymore. But I do think about how much work it is. So I guess it must be rewarding in some ways, subconsciously, that I can't think of right now. Except for hanging out with you guys and talking about politics and stuff. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I find it rewarding, for sure. For a couple of reasons. For one, I like having this to orient me. Every week, I read an enormous amount of material, mostly for this podcast. Every episode, I read like a dozen or so different things, with the idea that should whittle it down to 3. So I have to weigh out the pros and cons of a bunch of different material. So I feel like I just have if nothing else, it's intellectually disciplines me. But also I feel like, I've talked to people, and I do this every year, whatever, but it's all the time about hey, I haven't really encountered that perspective, or I haven't encountered that topic even. I think early on, Chris, you had said something like, this is not an appropriate mode of discourse for a planning meeting. If you're part of your city's whatever, you're going to fight some corporate polluter or a rent hike or something.
Right.
So you're we'll do it here. And I have found over the years that people appreciate that. I appreciate it. It's already enough of a reason for me just to do it because I need to do this. But also I feel like we're performing a service. I think it's very valuable. It's definitely rewarding in a very conscious way for me.
Wait, can you clarify to me what you're saying about this is something else fulfilling a different need than the planning committee? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
We're the anti-planning committee podcast.
It's about
no. We're for planning committees, but this podcast is not a planning committee. I'm not really sure what your point was either.
I take it, and here, let me take a stab at it. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but I think what he's saying is if you're planning an action or planning towards some sort of tangible, material, strategic goal of some sort that you're trying to accomplish, you don't sit around and engage in mental masturbation like we do on this podcast. That would not be the correct forum for that kind of just exploring intellectual pathways that we haven't gone down before. This podcast is the place to do that.
That was precisely my point.
Okay.
Whenever the DSA became the dominant group on the American left, when the socialist scene became bigger, but also the ISO version of things kind of fell by the wayside, I at least feel like there was a great need for precisely this space,
this sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got you.
So I find it to be very fulfilling, and I'm happy to find that's often other people do too.
Okay. Cool.
I think the left would benefit from more of the sort of exploration of ideas that we try to engage in, which is an open willingness to consider things that have not prevailed necessarily in the past, and even consider in an authentic way, since with real sincerity, consider contrasting and conflicting perspectives on the state of the world, how we got to where we are, and how do we move forward from here, and what the goals and aims of our movements should be, even. looking at these questions from a number of different perspectives rather than being so, the entirety of the left is just so full and constituted by people who are very, 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 very convinced that one particular perspective that they hold is correct and everyone else is incorrect and wrong and needs to be crushed and quieted. Or they've never really even thought about it that much, and they're just sort of like on a pathway, And I think the sort of project that we're engaging in is really useful, and it not every episode we do is necessarily geared toward to your point, Jason. It's not every episode we do is necessarily geared toward coming out the other side with some sort of like concrete conclusion about here's the next thing we do now that we've worked this problem out. But it is a space where we can try to openly and in public try to work some things out and talk about the fact that we are facing real obstacles that should force us to reconsider some things that we've taken for granted in the past.
So what you were reeling off, Kevin, makes I think of. I just was writing down some words that were coming to me. We're providing like a dialogic, exploratory platform and forum, a place to be unconvinced. Because I think that's actually part of our pessimism is that we're unconvinced.
Right.
The prevailing projects. We're unorthodox, even though there's a lot of orthodoxy that remains to be sifted. And overall, it's like a reparative project, repairing the sinews of our ideological rifts and overcoming the baggage and the sort of wastes of time that we've amassed in previous incarnations.
Yeah, and not just personally, although that's very much the case.
Yeah. But
also like in general, like I think that we have found that people who do listen, they get something out of it, and then they take something from it, and they take it into, well, hopefully at least, we take it into their broader world and their lives lived, offline, whatever, and it's felt. It matters. Like Ben says, everything matters.
I'm getting quoted so often by you guys on that line. I just think that's a basic Hegelian truism. I will say each of us tries to be consistent as well. So I've heard.
Yeah, I'm still a third worldist.
Exactly. Well, actually, you've converted me to being like maybe 1/3 of a third worldist.
Hell yeah.
No,
just got to get the other 2/3 of the way.
I still think that the liberals are worse for the project of human emancipation than the conservatives are, even in the face of ICE deportations and everything else.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that's for me is maybe it's inconsistent, but I've drifted a bit from where we started, especially the last 2 years, especially this year. What about, just about like the terminology used, about like Marxism. I haven't drifted away from being a proponent of and student of the philosophy of and the politics of Marxists historically. The same thing with the left. It's like I recognize that there's a term that people use and say the left. I say, well, I'm of the left, sure, but I've drifted in the sense that like I feel so like that stuff's inadequate. I'm still a socialist. I'm still still very much in favor of all the same things, but I am very troubled by the insular nature of the world that we all come from and the world that we all at least have a foot in. So if I'm being inconsistent, it's inconsistent in that regard. I don't want to be insular. I don't want to know the right terms and the right way to talk about things and only talk to those people. So like I've increasingly become more open-armed in sort of in terms of my presentation.
You're more populist.
Yeah, I'm much more populist, and I'm much more agreeable to what are the things which we want to accomplish in this conversation and in the long term, and less interested in making sure that a point is made that accords with what a Trotskyist would say, or what a Marxist Leninist would say, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like I think in some ways it's not that much different, but in other ways it's quite different.
Well, Jason, just to clarify what I meant by consistency, we've definitely each evolved. I've seen each of you evolve even since I've been on here with you as a later addition. The point I was trying to make about criticism was, about consistency was how we employ criticism. And I think we try and be fair to all, even if it's something we completely disagree with, or even if it's a position we once held. I think there's a diligence towards not being just ideologues reacting from trenchant positions. Like we have
except anarchism.
Well, I was going to say, even with anarchism, there is some reactivity, but we still try and rescue what we
I
already
value.
said liberalism.
See, but that's just fun and jokes. I think we do take ideas seriously, and mostly our reactivity is towards annoying personalities that are supposed to be like vacant signifiers. Anyway, go on.
I got to say, actually, I think that it's largely, in the main, fun and jokes, but it's not exclusively fun and jokes. Like,
this is going to be
at least when it comes to where I'm coming from, my criticism of liberalism includes self-described liberals, self-described conservatives, and self-described anarchists. The philosophy of the individual, of individualism, not individuality, because everyone's going to be, that's going to be always the case. But the philosophical underpinnings of the world as it is right now, I think that's one of the things I've drifted toward. I've kind of come to recognize that liberalism is the dominant paradigm, and I don't know what to do about it, but I don't want it. I don't want it to still be.
I don't want it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could start off the year in review proper by talking about maybe some of the major political events that happened in the United States. And you know what I didn't do? I'm sure you did this, Jason. Did you go back and check out our predictions for the future?
I kind of forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, me too. Wait a minute, I don't think we made any, because I listened to the entire year 7 or year 6. I don't think we made any predictions.
I think we predicted things would get worse.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which they did.
Kevin predicted things will get worse, and that's true.
Yeah.
Good job, Kevin.
All right. Well, I was just going to jump in and say on this outline that you made, Jason, the number one thing was announcements and changes and so on. Go buy some shirts.
Oh yeah, that's important.
Oh yeah, we were going to start. We're going to start telling people, reminding them that we have a Patreon, and we do weekly episodes, weekly geopolitics episodes, and 2 times a month we do a bonus episode. And also, we have shirts, and the links to both of those are in the show notes. We're supposed to try to. Jason told me that we're supposed to start mentioning this more often.
I think it would be, honestly, I think we should insert a clip each episode of at the beginning, end, whatever, just a regular thing where we say, please like and subscribe on your podcasting app of choice, and please leave us a positive review. It really does help. And share with your friends and family or whatever. You should just a little blip. I'm sure. I mean, whatever, but I could, sort of rattle it off.
I mean, I used to have one of those that I would insert in all of them back when we were part of the network, and I would plug the other podcasts in the network. But then once the network was defunct, I never made a new one. So I guess I should.
Yeah, we should do that. It's an easy thing to do, and I think it really will actually be a boost.
Well, I want to personally.
I agree. And I also think that it would be cool if we ever could we can even expand if ever, we have enough subscribers that we can actually justify this. I would like to even expand. We could even produce more content. I think right now we probably do about as much as we can with the time that we all have. But
Right.
I would like to do more, which means I would like to have more time. So, whatever.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
agree with Kevin.
I personally rely upon the regrettable geopolitics episode to keep up with the war in Ukraine. I would be completely out of touch with what's going on if it weren't for listening to regrettable geopolitics, which are only listeners on the Patreon feed.
Right. I
Yeah.
do several hours a week that I was going to do anyway, but I do them now with purpose of research to make sure that I've got a lot of good detail for our geopolitics episodes. And I mostly am interested in talking about the war in Ukraine because to me it's a fascinating topic, but I also include the rest of the world in there because, the rest of the world isn't just America and its proxy wars.
Increasingly
So, yeah.
so, actually. It's
It's
increasingly
mostly
the case.
America and its proxy wars. That's true.
Well, no, but that's, honestly, it is increasingly less. It's increasingly less. That's the wrong way to put it. It's, whatever.
Decreasingly so.
It's decreasingly so. It
Now
is
it's-
increasingly multipolar. And I know that
I see what you
that's,
mean.
that's when people of the socialist world talk about the multipolarity, some of us, arch an eyebrow. I just think what I would say is that that's just the reality. I'm not like pro or anti. It's just the reality. It's like being against thunderstorms. It's just going to happen. And so
Right.
by doing a roundup of the things happening in the world, it's just about acknowledging the reality that what's happening is that the world is changing so that we, at the most extreme example, if you didn't understand what is happening in the world, you might think that China was reliant on the United States. And so we could do 500% tariffs and they'll buckle because we just think, the world hasn't changed since the 1990s. And it very clearly has. And so the geopolitics episodes are one of many different attempts that we make on a regular basis to stay abreast of as much as possible, the rapidly shifting global order. That's all.
Here's a sample of here's the very long summary title of the most recent episode from the first. Trump's fake drug war against Venezuela, Trump's dumbass diplomacy nets Big L versus China, Trump's protection racket only works on U.S. allies, genocide in Darfur has UAE and Israeli fingerprints, Kiev won't last till spring, the Ukrainian
Question
Nazi-
mark. That's Kiev won't last till spring?
Well, I inflected the question mark.
I don't think you did, but
Kiev won't last
did
till
not hear it.
spring?
yeah, there we go.
Suddenly I'm Scooby-Doo. The Ukrainian Nazi cult of the Christchurch shooter. Zelensky threatens journalists. The collapse speeds up. So they cover it all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so go listen to those episodes. But speaking of geopolitics and stuff that is in the world, I think we should talk about stuff in the world.
Our assessment of Trump 2.0, were we right last year? Yes.
What did we say last year? Of
It's
course
going to
we were
get
right.
worse and more dumb.
Well, yeah. So what I was thinking there was, I think that we might have underestimated just how bonkers
Bad.
and also
Yeah.
how horrible the Trump 2.0 would be, because
I
the
did.
first
Right.
administration was fairly
Constrained.
typical
Yeah, it's pretty
and
constrained.
constrained. And maybe this administration is typical in the sense that the neoliberal unipolar order is slowly, even rapidly dying at this point. I personally did not see quite as much chaos and so much. I recognize that things are really bad for some people, although I still maintain that it's not fascism just because it's less pleasant.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that what we said about we kind of said that, things are going to be pretty much like under the Democrats, but more rude, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is wrong to a certain extent, but not completely. Like, Democrats were doing mass deportations and elevated border security, but Trump went in with the mechanism created by Obama, utilized to its greatest extent thus far by Biden, and then just doubled down on it and did it worse. So, I mean, essentially, what I would say about what has happened in this administration is Trump has played on all the precedents set by his predecessors, and just made everything worse, because that's how precedents work, right? So it's not like it's just the same as if the Democrats were in power, but more rude. It is significantly and quantifiably worse. But that is, however, not a reason for us to go back on saying that you should have voted for Kamala and just ignored the fact that Biden supported a genocide, ignored inflation, ignored grocery prices, etc., completely like tread all over his working class base in order to try to win a mythical demographic that doesn't exist. The moderate Republicans who voted for Trump, like 97% of Republicans voted for Trump or whatever. It doesn't mean that they didn't deserve to lose and that everyone should have voted for them, because I think, if anything else, this has proven to be a sharpening of politics for a lot of people. You know, we've got what in the wake of everything that's going on right now is like overwhelming support for a openly democratic, socialist, anti-Israel candidate running for the mayorship of New York. You've got, like, I don't know, massive backlash against Israel and AIPAC and everyone who supports them, to the point where you've actually got people who are going to be running for office in the midterms coming out and disavowing AIPAC, promising not to take any money from AIPAC. And those who were taking money from AIPAC before are starting to repudiate and give their money back in order to be able to be clean from taking money from AIPAC. So, I mean, there have been political positives to come out of the massive negatives. And I think that stuff would not have happened if things were if the status quo was maintained under the Democrats. So, of course, there's like this, to a certain extent, like the immiseration thesis it can, if there is organized opposition, prove to be a sharpening of potential breaking, like a widening of potential cracks in the face of the establishment, right?
Yeah, I would say that there's some degree of truth to the slow boil versus the rapid boil. You know, when you slow the heating up, I think it's a frog, right? It's gonna sit and be patient and not notice the change. The rapid boil is gonna jump out. You know that metaphor, right?
Yeah.
There's something to that.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely the case that reforms can pacify the working class recipients of those benefits, and that worsening conditions can excite and organize the working class in opposition to them. I think it's also the case that reforms can embolden and strengthen the will of the working classes that benefit from them, and it can also be the case that worsening conditions can demoralize and scatter opposition to them. So, I mean, all of these things are true. It's almost a sort of like a things are going to get worse sometimes, and they're going to get better sometimes, and it's sort of not the point.
Right.
And sometimes things neither get worse nor better; they just move forward.
Right. And regardless, the fundamental project doesn't change. Maybe the strategy, maybe the tactics, but I feel like that's sort of something that's held against leftists who hold these sort of anti-reformist reforms. Like there's a very opportunistic element. They're trying to lead lead the flock to defeat so that they can be further immiserated and further radicalized. And
impossibilism is what Marx called it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good strategy if you are actually an agent of the far right. Then it's a good strategy. Interestingly enough, though, our national version of a far right, the MAGA movement, is experiencing the same kind of tension and dissension, and the fraying that they're experiencing that, and there's great disorder under heaven. The situation is excellent.
Yeah, and ideology is blind.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
I think there's great disorder under heaven, but I don't know if the situation's excellent.
Well, yeah, I don't think the situation's excellent. But just,
I think the situation is pretty terrible.
Yeah, the situation is pretty terrible.
Since we spent previous hours and days discussing the fascism debate, I just want to say whether or not this regime represents fascism, which I would say it doesn't, but even if it does, the way to approach defeating it is not by re-entrenchment around the lesser evilism that has you defending Kamala. And I guess in the future it will be what's his name? Newsom. I block out his name.
Newsom.
So there are fascists in the government, and there are fascists who are happy about some of the things the government's doing. But that's only as much as there are those of us who are very supportive of a Sanders moment and how that would be great, and we would like that, and it would not make the United States socialist.
I mean,
if you follow the chatter of the far right in the United States, they do not support Trump. The far right in the United States is unequivocally opposed to Trump. The people that do support Trump are the sort of the mainstream of MAGA, who were just neocons before MAGA existed and are still neocons, but are meaner and ruder about it, right? The far right, the genuine far right in the United States, thinks that Trump is a pedophile and is controlled by the Jews.
Right. And is as much a steward of the neoliberal economic school of economic management as was Bush Jr. and as was Reagan.
And you're referring to like the Nick Fuentes realm of.
Oh, right. Nick Fuentes is more on the popular side of the far right. There are still like a myriad of other organizations, like the microsects of the far right, who will always be around regardless of who's in charge. But yeah, Fuentes is, I think, probably like because we don't actually have like political parties in this country of any note. Not even our two major political parties are actually political parties. Yeah, people sort of congregate around figures like Fuentes, and he is absolutely not pro-Trump.
Yeah, he's the most outspoken, popular mouthpiece of these evolving dirty break politics on the far right.
He's probably the last genuine alt-right figure that's left out there that people pay any attention to. And it's interesting because, like, I don't know, I watched his interview with Tucker Carlson.
I did too. It was weird.
And it was weird, but the thing that, to me, that I think is most striking about it is there's still not a positive politics there. There's, it's meme politics being taken too seriously. Yeah. And there's no genuine critique of capitalism like most fascist movements have. There's no sort of like vehicle or even aspiration to form a political party. There's like an incredibly sort of anti-woman misogyny that's like voluntarily, probably more incel than volcel, but like they posture as voluntarily celibate, right?
Right.
Politics, which has no mass appeal, obviously. And I don't know. I think that Fuentes will be probably an outlet for angry young men on the internet for a while, and his politics will amount to nothing, right?
Sure.
I think if there was a movement to the right of Trump that was like sort of a popular movement, a popular far right movement, I think it would come from, if he wanted to, it could come from Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he has any aspirations to do anything to try to form a political party or a movement within the Republican Party. I think that he's just a media figure.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think so long as Donald Trump is the figure and is around, like even post Trump 2.0, because I do not believe that there will be, the way that Steve Bannon muses about the possibilities of a third term. I don't take that seriously. I don't think that's it's not an actual thing.
I don't take that seriously, and I don't think JD Vance is a good successor.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, even if Trump was to take a sort of James Kennan role and like just kind of be the spiritual leader of the party movement, well after being formally the political head, I don't think Carlson would wade into such an oppositional approach. While he, because you could tell he like is trying really hard to like balance his immense criticisms, with the fact that his audiences they're Trump people.
Yeah.
So as long as Trump's around, he's not going to do that.
Right. He's dancing around it. The reason I mentioned Fuentes, you're totally right that I found him rather unimpressive. I had never listened to an entire interview with him, but there's no there really. I guess the thing that's new or refreshing is that he doesn't couch his nationalist positions in kind of rhetorical flourishes. He just kind of makes them. And I think why I think it's worth paying attention to is his audience beyond the sort of partisan incel, volcel geeks is large. There's a lot of people tuning into him.
Yeah, definitely. Like a massive amount of people tuning in.
Not even just the right, like people who are really pissed off at Israel are listening to him too, who are from elsewhere on the spectrum. So like his audience dwarfs, say, Ben Shapiro's audience or something like that. These people who used to be like the prime time people on YouTube.
I mean, the lesson that from Fuentes is that Fuentes is just a guy who just says things that he actually thinks.
Yeah,
it's not impressive, it's not amazing, but he's rare and he's refreshing for people who are like looking for some approach to the conditions of the world, to the questions facing the world, and just being like very straightforward, very honest. This is what I actually think.
But I think Chris is right. His politics are basically a brand. They begin and end at the Groyper brand, and besides creating schisms, there's no real vision.
No, there's not there. But I think that really does fertilize the soil for somebody else to come along who does have those aspirations.
Right.
Know? Sure. And I think that what this does is it contributes to this sort of atmosphere of hopelessness and nihilism, wherein these young men are drawn to or could be recruited by nefarious actors to commit acts of, stochastic terror. I think that's the main thing that people like Fuentes contribute to the political landscape is just massive amounts of dissatisfaction and despair.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be dissatisfied and they should despair, but there needs to be a positive political program to scoop people like that up into, a positive direction. And the left isn't going to offer that anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
What I think Fuentes is doing is he's narrativizing despair that already exists. So he's focusing it in this nihilistic way that
for sure
has outbursts of what seem to be magnitude, but someone else has
and he
to
definitely is providing sort of like intellectually more intellectually attractive to intellectual midwits anti-Semitism, right?
I
mean a lot of people are very open to the kind of anti-Semitism that Fuentes talks about now, because the cracks in the pro-Israel consensus are fairly large.
Yeah.
And because Fuentes is online and he's on YouTube, and our site has what? Vosh.
What?
Is he still around?
Oh, I don't know.
He lost his USAID funding and kind of disappeared after that. Like, no joke.
Yeah. There aren't very many left-wing equivalents to the Fuentes types.
No, there's really not. The only one that I can think of at all is what's his face? That guy in L.A. Who used to be on the Young Turks. Hassan Piker, yeah.
Right.
He's really successful, and he's a streamer, and he's consistently leftist. I don't follow him closely at all. I don't know the ins and outs of his politics or anything, but in general, he seems like I am broadly. He's just like broadly left of the Democratic Party in favor of socialism, anti-capitalism, and he's really successful. He's got a real large following.
From what I gather, his politics are like really influenced by Marxism and anti-imperialism, coming from Turkey, the anti-authoritarianism, but he focuses mostly on like a broadly left populist electoral influence, because that's where
which is
we are right
fine.
now.
I mean, that's where we are. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's basically
I
like
think
Chapo Trap House as a streamer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's like he's significantly more hip than Chapo. You know,
right.
Chris, the other thing I found really weird about the interview between Carlson and Fuentes was like how each of them was trying to set the line for where anti-Semitism begins in earnest. Like even Fuentes did that on his own yard line of like maintaining the ability to see that there's a unique a threat in Jewish identity, whereas Carlson was more kind of like a Christian supersessionist, basically, like
right,
which is not explicitly anti-Semitic, but it's definitely in there structurally. So he's like looking at individuals. He has to return to individuals, and you're like, oh, what does that mean about like Jewry writ large? So
yeah, I
just found that really surreal to see them going back and forth on what anti-Semitism is.
Honestly, that is something that I whatever. I'm not like the most informed about like what trends exist out there in the world, but my own perception of what I've seen a lot more of out in the social media internet world is it really does seem like race realism and anti-Semitism are considerably on the rise over the last year.
Yeah. I think that's definitely
that
true.
Caught me off guard. And I think I think the function of that, I think the real danger of that is the danger that that anti-Semitism in particular played back, in the early years of capitalism. Is it's a capture and redirection of class resentment, and what would otherwise be a class consciousness. Turning it toward something else, saying, no, it's not actually capitalism. You're right to be wedded to these ideas about capitalism that you've been raised with your entire life. Instead, the real problem is this one group of people who have too much power and control. And also, by the way, you should identify them by their race, and you should identify yourself and everyone else by their race, and interests align around race.
I mean, and Israel does their part in making sure that people do rhetorically and through their actions as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's absolutely true.
They do like the majority of the heavy lifting. They're hell bent on making sure that the white supremacists, the anti-Semites, have an audience. because they want that audience.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They always have ever since the Havana Agreement.
What with the Nazis in like 1933?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the realpolitik.
One other element of this, because it's kind of related, because it's domestic political tension, chaos, and it factors in a lot to the splintering of the MAGA world, is the Epstein phenomenon, which I think is super fascinating.
Oh yeah.
Like the fact that the petition to release the Epstein files needs one more signature, and there's that Democratic congresswoman who they won't
in Arizona.
swear in. They won't swear her in because she will be the final signature needed. So she's like, "Oh, we're just not going to do it."
Yeah.
The fact that it's even happening
So naked.
is amazing.
It's pretty wild, dude. It's like an obvious cover up of the fact that the president and probably a lot of other like people in government are on that list.
Yeah,
You know, it's fucking insane, and people are just like, "Oh, all right, well." I always shrug off the idea that like MAGA is like has these sort of like cult like adherence, like blind adherence to Trump. But what it really, I think there is a certain level of cultishness to the MAGA movement. But what it reminds me of is the Democrats and Obama and Hillary.
Yeah.
You know, it's that same stupid blind devotion that ignores reality in the face of cheering for their glorious leader.
Yeah, very much so. If I was more of a conspiracy guy who wanted to make predictions, I would say that this would be a really good time to do that. But I'm not. Instead, I'll just say, yeah, everything's really fucked up, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, other things that have happened in the world. Or did you want to move off of things in the world, Jason?
Well, no, I don't necessarily want to move off of them. But maybe at some point very soon, you kind of already made the point about Mamdani and what that represents and the possibilities. I think that the Graham Plattner campaign in Maine is in some ways very similar, and although in some ways very different. Like Plattner is he's not a democratic socialist, but the fact that he has a drunken SS Totenkopf tattoo, and people have tried to cancel him for that. He's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't know what it was. I'm going to get it covered up," and that's enough. Like I still think he's pretty likely to he's still doing very well. So I think there's an obvious shift that people like maybe Gavin Newsom sees, but somehow Kamala Harris is talking about maybe running again in 2028, which means I don't think that a lot of the Democrats, even at this late hour, I don't think that a lot of the Democrats understand how much the world has changed since 2015. It's been 10 years now, and they're still like not entirely sure of exactly what has happened. So it's interesting, but I don't know what else to say about it other than that.
Yeah, the very people who are partly responsible for the ascendance of what they call fascism have yet to learn of their own responsibility.
Yeah, I think that it would be worth talking about the Gaza genocide, which happened, which has been happening for the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I think the worst part of it has happened in this past year. I don't know. I guess we can infer from the fact that Trump has actually tried a couple of times to, get the Nobel Prize by stopping the conflict, and Biden had numerous chances to do so and did not. Is one thing that we found out from whistleblowers that have come forward since the in this past year. But Trump has continued to support the genocide. He's doing something that Biden didn't do, which is support the genocide and try to stop it at the same time. Biden just supported the genocide. And I'm not saying that things are either better or worse. They just simply are. I don't think that Biden would have been any better, but it's hard to tell. Maybe there might have been some, caving to the massive discontent of the base. But looking at the fact that the Democratic Party is still all in on supporting Israel, even in the face of a revolt of their base, really indicates that, things would be the same either way. And that's something that we said also. I think that that's still true. I think we were correct there.
Yeah, I think that they're probably about as pliable on this issue as they were during the Occupy Wall Street moment in 2011, which is to say they're not. They're just not. With a few exceptions. But yeah, largely they're not.
Yeah, so I just want to say that the United States is responsible for this genocide as much as Israel is, and that has happened in our lifetimes, and that's something that we, as a nation, are going to have to live with. Just like the Germans after World War II, we're going to have to live with the fact that we aided with Israel in their genocide of the Gazans. But as a far less retrospective people, and the fact that we're probably unlikely to lose a war anytime soon and be completely devastated and forced to, whatever the equivalent of denazification in the United States would be.
We're unlikely.
So nice, wouldn't it?
We're unlikely to lose any of the wars currently on the agenda, on the docket. We're not going to lose the war against Venezuela the same way the Germans lost the war in 1945.
No, yeah, it'd be at worst case, it'd be like another Vietnam where we just kind of after untold misery and death visited on somebody else, we're like, oh well, I guess that's not working, and we just pull out. But God, can you just imagine for a minute if we had Reconstruction Part 2 in the United States, and we had military occupation of parts of the country, of the reaction in the country, where they're putting up resistance to progressive change. Oh God, that would be so fucking nice.
Yeah, it really would. It's very difficult to imagine what that would actually look like, but it is something that is needed. So presuming that there will be an America, something like that will eventually have to be the case.
Yeah, that's sort of like a scenario where we've talked about how anything will take everything. It's even just to fulfill the Republican project, we're going to have a working class revolution, basically.
Yeah, we'd have to have, in order to get universal health care, or maybe to a breaking of the two-party system, we would have to have a proletarian revolution. That's more likely than either of those two things under the current system.
Yeah, I think that's true. Should we talk about our podcast a little bit?
Yeah. Might as well.
Our best episodes.
Yeah. Start us off, Jason.
Well, so my favorite episode, my favorite episodes were the Trash Can of Ideology, which was kind of a retrospective in a sense, but we just kind of talked about what the common themes over the years. And I just think it was really fun it was really good to do. It really made me think a lot about just the different ways that, like I said, what I started off with, the shifting, that is to put it in Ben's terms, the growth that has taken place over the years. So I really like the Trash Can of Ideology episode. And then also, I really, really did enjoy that the Spirit of History, which is actually 2 episodes, that we did with Mir, where we read the article about Hegel's thought, because it was in detail, and it was and we discussed things kind of a lot, and it was, I think it was really, really great. I would say that I'm never going to be tired of doing episodes like that. I think think it probably have like 4 different Hegel episodes kind of on the list of possibilities. And then also I really like the one we did about the thought of Thomas Masaryk, just to kind of open up the political thought a little bit, then not have like I said before about it's not just Marxism. It's also like what are the other elements of thought that kind of around the edges, and so going over agreements and disagreements with someone like T.G. Masaryk was, I think, it was a high point for me.
We have
I really like that one. That one's on my list as well.
We have people on the Discord reading Masaryk right now.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I really like the regrettable trash can of ideology. I thought that was a really good discussion. I went back and listened to that just recently. And I recommend that to anybody who wants to know what we actually think about things, because we did a whole episode where we laid out the episodes that we thought most described what if we had a political ideology, you could garner what it was by listening to these certain episodes.
I don't think everyone knows that Robert Mack.
Sorry, I accidentally started the episode.
But yeah, anyway, that one was one of my favorite ones. It's kind of navel gazy, but I don't mind that. It's self-referential, and
I mean, like sometimes we get criticisms of not having a clear "this is the line." It's like, okay, fine. We don't always have a line.
We're not a political party. We're dudes hanging out.
But sometimes it can be more clear, and that's one place where it can be made pretty easily clear.
And in the episode show notes, you list every single episode that you're reaching back into. So there's like a catalog that listeners can use to go back and listen.
Then I had the Masaryk episode. That one is, as Jason mentioned, for all the same reasons, it's one of my favorites. But also the Luddites were right, actually. Yeah, that was, I think, as I get older, as I age, and as I see how disconnected we are from the world, I become more of a Luddite. And as I see the planet sliding further and further past the point of us being able to change things and to save civilization on Earth and to keep the planet from turning into a scorched Hulk with acidified oceans, I become more of a Luddite. But I really did like the idea that we sort of try to redefine what Luddite actually was and save the terminology from Marx, actually, and the Marxists who followed him in using his terminology. But yeah, those would be my top 3.
You're muted. You go, Kevin.
I should turn off my mic when I start speaking. I thought that the geopolitics episodes, I think that got started in full swing this year. I think just in general doing that, Chris and Jason, y'all are doing a really good service there. I think it's really great. I learn stuff every time I listen to it, and I think it's really useful. I think the episode on the Luddites were right actually is really good because the Luddites were right actually. And
I agree.
It was good to rescue them a bit there. I thought that the Years of Dread episode, I actually don't like when we that was the where we talked about Charlie Kirk's assassination. I am very reticent to for us to talk about current events in the world because that's just it for a lot of different reasons, and I just don't think it works well with what this podcast does well is the removed contemplative things stuff, and when we're trying to comment on the fast-paced news cycle, I think we just lose the point of what we're actually doing here. But I thought we did that one really. It ended up actually coming out really well, and our takes were antagonistic to pretty much everybody on that, and I thought that was nice. It was really good.
That's when we do our best.
I thought that the Ben and Jason, the two of you, whenever you did the gang works out the contradictions, and you sort of reflected on the contradictions that we've kind of put forward on the show. That was a pretty recent one, and kind of reflected on them and maybe tried to reconcile them somewhat. I thought that was really, really interesting and really well considered, and the two of you did a really excellent job. I personally really enjoyed listening to that episode. And then finally, I enjoyed getting to do the under an elm tree, the animism episode. Got to actually talk about my spirituality and spiritual practice on the show, and that was nice. That was cool.
Yeah, I honestly, I that was a very welcome addition to this is a growing part of our repertoire. The other three of us, we talk a lot about our faith and we find this or that element of like we're doing like a papal encyclical or something. We find some elements of the convergence of our politics and our faith. We talk about it often. We have for years at this point. It was really, really nice to see this formal step into that same world, the same whatever that same thing that from you, because I think it probably doesn't come as often as easily, being the only one of us who talks who thinks about things in precisely that way. So I love that episode actually, and I'm looking forward to hopefully more.
Mm-hmm. Here. I guess I'm the caboose on this train. So I was looking back to the beginning of the year. I remember getting a lot out of our reading of the Richard Seymour essay that we titled In Defense of Proletarian Idealism. I just find Seymour so...
Yeah, that was a good one.
So brilliant at doing this sort of exegetical work of sort of Marxological categories, especially with regard to like materialist and idealist conceptions, and showing how intertwined they are actually, and how we inherit both as Marxists. And we're reading Seymour again now, just to advertise in our reading group for the Patreon subscribers. We're reading his newest book, The Rise of Disaster Nationalism, together. Just started. I loved the Luddites episode. Was very like therapeutic because we were reading history, and it has direct application to our moment. Actually, that wasn't on my list. Sorry, that was Kevin's list. Oh, I really liked our crossover with our Irish comrade For a New Republic.
That one was good. Yeah, I forgot about that one, but that was an awesome one.
We went on his show and we cross-posted it on our feed, but it was really nice sort of being interviewed and having his perspective from across the pond, and comparing the different realities facing the Irish and the American working class and so forth. I liked meeting him. Also, big shout out to Kevin's episode with his guests under an elm tree. I loved hearing about William Morris. The three of them read a William Morris piece and analyzed it, and it opened up this really rich discussion. And I found myself very, very sympathetic with a lot of the ideas. I would say, if I had to be perfectly honest, I'm sort of a universalist who finds the most ready expression in Christian liturgy, and I have a deep attachment to it and a deeply founded belief as well. But I find myself very open to a lot of animist ideas with regard to the environment and trees and animals that I've always felt since I was a boy. Since I was a child, I would talk to animals and trees and the grass and the sun. And I just am profoundly moved by that. I feel like that's a really invaluable register to think about overcoming our alienation to the world and the earth. And
all those things are sacred, even with a Orthodox Christian bent. All those things are sacred, and all those things are imbued with the Spirit of God.
Right.
You know, so,
but that is a valuable point to make, actually, Ben. That
I think there's crossover.
The podcast is closer to. It's not clean. It's not so divided as 3 and 1. You know, it's actually
right.
Because like I went to mass today, and I was like, I need to learn more Latin because so much of this is in Latin, and I need to learn St. Michael's prayer because that's how we close the mass. You know, after the priest, formally it's ended, but nobody gets up because everyone kneels to say a Hail Mary and to say St. Michael's prayer. I was like, I'm much more traditionalist in that way. So yeah, well, Ben and Kevin are the pagans.
no, I was going to say,
but also Ben is one of the Christians.
Instead of 3 and 1, we're 3 and 4.
Okay, I like that.
But you make a good point, Chris and Jason. So yeah, my last recommendation is the Laudato Si series we're doing with Mir and Daniel, because the encyclical by Leo and his ghostwriter I'm sorry, not Leo, Francis and his ghostwriter, I feel is directly implicating this this communion between Christian orthodoxy and something approaching animism, something approaching like this sacred realm that we inhabit with the natural world, and we are siblings too. And I've been very moved by that discussion as well.
Yeah, that was a good one, and it was also a controversial one.
Which one? The animism one?
Yeah. In our Discord, it divided people. So a lot of people didn't like the sort of anti-civilizational sort of bent of what's his name? It's
Matthias Nordvig.
I'm drawing a blank on it. Yeah, Matthias. Yeah.
And also and me.
The other guy, me. That's his name. Yeah.
Well, but also like the same thing could be said about our Luddites episode, or our Never Coming of Age with the one we did with Jess. You know, like because lately we've been taking up more and more criticisms of AI and the I would say extremely regrettable reliance upon a certain kind of technology in our society, not just in this country but the world over. And that's not an opinion which is shared, but I'm definitely not going to shy away from it, because I do think that AI is the worst thing that we do.
Yeah.
Such a drain.
It is among the worst things that we do. Yes.
Well, yeah, it's hard to say what the exact worst is.
I think the worst thing that we do is currently arm Israel, but
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
although AI is part of that as well.
Another note on
that is true. Yeah.
Another note on the under an Elm Tree episode. I think it's really productive to have guests on who are not necessarily bringing in exact reproductions of what we may define our politics as. I think that's really, really important, to be talking to other communities where we have shared crossover in our politics and projects and shared resonances that don't necessarily meet one-to-one always, but there's an important and integral sort of system of influence that we should be involved in. And we should busy ourselves tarrying with the contradictions in those relationships and kind of meeting one another continuously, and being influenced by, ideas that are not readily embraceable by us. So even if there were, I think the contention with was Matthias.
Matthias.
Matthias is he was really a poet. He was waxing poetic for the most part, but it's okay to discuss those things. It's okay to discuss those things and not agree, and still have a shared tapestry that we cohabitate upon.
Well, yeah, if you can't have guests on who sometimes even have polar opposite positions on lots of things, then there's no point in there's less of a point in what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that we want to bring on like Nick Fuentes, but
I think honestly that was the main reason that the episode was controversial. People wanted to hear either their own ideas like affirmed back to them on the podcast, or if they're not being affirmed back to them, they want to hear whoever's expressing the ideas that they don't agree with to be castigated. And instead, I just modeled, being in community with without sacrificing my own values, but also recognizing that other people don't have the same worldview that I do, and that's fine.
Otherwise,
being in community like a coward.
Yeah. Otherwise, we would have tagged it. Kevin destroys his animist fellow believers,
his friends.
I think I could spend this entire episode just talking about how much I loved each one of these, and I could talk about every one of them in some aspect that I found them to be useful and worth listening to more than once.
Before we go to, I love that. It's beautiful. There was a kind of a button I wanted to put on what Kevin just said, though, with regard to having a variety of guests on or talking with different perspectives. I think we have our premise of what a healthy sort of politics, socialist politics, should look like, and a working class movement based upon what is will necessarily manifest from interacting with people you disagree with profoundly. It will not come about by this project that I've seen in the left in different iterations of we're about trying to reproduce ourselves in the world.
Yeah,
that is a non-starter. That will go nowhere. We have to meet others and sort of forge relationships and comradeship from what exists. And we're not going to convert them wholesale into new beings. We're not trying to born again in a socialist register the population.
Yeah, I actually think that's very well put.
I agree.
The only other thing is I think it's probably worth us doing personal updates. If we have any. I think we all do.
Let me think. Do I have anything cool that I have done?
You got a house?
I didn't really, but kind of. Yes.
You kind of got a house?
I kind of got a house. We moved across. I was going to say across country, but it was across the state. But in Texas,
it was cross country.
Across the country of Texas.
Yeah, exactly. It was a 12 or 10-hour drive. We moved into my grandmother's old house, and
you moved back home. You moved to your childhood home. That's important.
And we fixed it up over the summer. It's pretty awesome. Glad to be here. I'm still just working on my PhD, and my baby's going to turn 2 in a few weeks.
That's crazy.
Which is wild. It's insane. Yeah. She did her first trick-or-treating. That's the most important thing that happened this year, is I took my baby my toddler trick-or-treating, and it was pretty amazing. I don't know. Holidays are just kind of perfunctory things that you do as you become an adult. You're like, yeah, okay, Merry Christmas, Happy Halloween, whatever. But when you have a kid, it's just it's like enjoying it all over again. Like you're a kid, because I get to live vicariously through her and get to watch her enjoy everything. pick her up and hold her when a big scary evil clown walks by and tell her it's okay, baby, it's just a costume. But it's incredibly cute and incredibly fun. So yeah, that's probably the most important life update of mine.
What was she? What'd she dress up as?
A witch.
Nice.
She matched her mom. They both had matching witch costumes.
Yeah. Oh.
I dressed up like a dad pulling a wagon with a little kid in it.
Naomi drew like a Wario mustache on me last minute.
So you were Evil Ben? Wario Ben?
I called myself Benji Wario. No, we just went over to families and watched the Dodger game, which was intense.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think about the World Series. It's two foreign countries playing each other. Like, I don't really care about that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see the MVP give his address in Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
What's new with me? I'm still in grad school, becoming a librarian or archivist, depending upon what the job market says. Learning as much as I can. I can't think of anything.
Kevin, what up, dude?
Not much. I just work constantly, and it's hard to keep up with everything in life. I'm still putting on Cascadian Midsummer, but we're expanding that out, and people will start seeing things in the future of that becoming a project of a formalized religious institution that we're creating, Cascadian Animism.
Cool.
And it will start putting on events outside of just the Midsummer celebration. So look forward to that.
Oh, yeah, that's something that we did last year. We did Cascadian Midsummer. I gave a
that's right.
talk on fascism. Not last year, this year. It was,
25, Yeah. Chris came out to Midsummer this year and gave a talk on fascism. And one day, once the video of that gets uploaded to YouTube, we'll share it.
Yeah, y'all get to see it. It was an amazing experience. Just hanging out in the woods, watching black metal bands play and stuff, and hanging out with a bunch of really cool people. But yeah, the talk I think went well. People seemed to get something out of it and wanted to talk to me about it. So yeah, it was awesome.
It was well received. Yeah,
that's so cool.
I gave another version of that talk to Corpus DSA, and they didn't give me anywhere near the amount of time that I needed to finish it. I was like a third of the way through, and the chair holds up a little piece of paper that says 10 minutes. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I just like put down my notes and just talked for 10 more minutes until it was over, and which is fine. I could probably do that, like no problem. But yeah, the one that Cascadian Midsummer got was a lot more complete. And that was even after I cut what I thought was like, 10 or 15 minutes out of the talk. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that video when it comes out.
Yeah, me too.
Kevin, that's like a real update. That's very exciting, actually.
That's what I gathered from at your wedding, talking with other friends of yours who you've actually become close with through the festival. Were describing to me how unique Cascadian Midsummer is in that regard. How it goes beyond a purely aesthetic interest in music and into kind of a deeper spiritual community. So
yeah,
that piqued my interest.
When it comes to personal updates, I don't really have very many. I think last time we did the year 6 episode, I mentioned, I think I said like, I fell in love, and that was it. That's all I said. So I'm still in love, and
I said, gay.
Right. And we moved in together, and then we moved to a new city, which we'll be here for a little while because she's a mental health professional, and so we live here while she finishes it's called a PsyD. It's like like a PhD, but for
juggalos.
for juggalos, yeah. She's going to become a master juggalo. And that's a big update. But other than that, my personal update's actually fairly thin. Like I finally found a parish worthy of adoration. Like, I'm so excited about the parish I found. I'm for the rest of the time I live here, that's my parish.
Awesome.
Like I said, like I need to learn a lot more Latin. I already like singing, so it's going to be cool. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it for me. My personal update is my life is great. Some things I need to work out here and there, but like it's all on the upswing. It feels good. Seemed like kind of a weird note to end year 7 on, but I'm excited about year 8.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
We could make a prediction for next year.
Oh.
I think we should. Honestly, I think it's a good idea.
I think things are going to continue to get worse. I think the Democrats are probably going to win the midterms and like the next round of elections. And the Trump regime's bravado that it's been acting with will be diminished because of that. And I think it's likely that that the status quo, the standard for what the status quo is, will have been substantially leveled down, and then things will normalize at that point. I think it's also very likely that we're going to hit a very serious recession. I think most people vast majority of people are already living in the recession. And I think the stock market just hasn't caught up to that fact yet. The AI bubble is keeping it afloat. And that thing's going to
pop
burst
soon.
It's going to burst at some point, and it's all going to come crashing down. The U.S. government's going to step in and rescue all of the barons of industry, and leave the rest of us to figure it out, I guess. But yeah, that's my predictions.
I think it's a really good prediction. I can't even really quibble with it. But there is one caveat, which is just the administration will probably slap like 700% tariffs on China, and they'll rescue everything. Everything will get better.
Well, I wanted to say something about. I think we're going to go to war with Iran again.
Oh yeah,
and I think that it's possible we might go to war with Venezuela, and I also think that Ukraine will conclusively lose the war. Probably early next year. There will be like a wholesale societal collapse that accompanies the military collapse. And if you want to find out why, we did a pretty decent rundown of that on the last geopolitics episode. It pretty much everyone except Zelensky and the mainstream Western press thinks that Ukraine is cooked at this point. Mm-hmm. Including Ukrainian soldiers on the front line and military analysts all over Europe and military analysts in the United States. But the propaganda department of the Ukrainian government and its mouthpieces in the West are unwilling to admit that fact as of yet. And why would they be when they're still hoping that, NATO is going to jump in on their side if things get too bad? Because Macron keeps floating that idea, and people like Keir Starmer. And, anyway, we talk about all this stuff in great detail in our geopolitics episodes on our Patreon. So come listen if you're interested. But yeah, that's my prediction for the next year.
I don't know that I have any. I feel like the startling thing is to realize we're still in year 1 of this administration. And it's 3+ more years for, I mean, how many people have they killed in these boats? These extra
like 37, I think.
I thought it was more. I thought it was anyway, we've been killing a lot of people before any declaration of any kind. Ratcheting up. He's doing a lot of things. I'm pretty nervous, even if it's just bluster, about the announcement that we're going to do a nuclear test, even if he was not understanding what Russia had done with but even the very mentioning,
he didn't know what he's talking about.
Even the very mentioning of
nuclear testing,
even the very mentioning of that on the world stage is very upsetting.
Yeah, it is,
because so
it's funny the way that Russia responded to that, being like, "Wow, we were unaware that anyone was doing any nuclear testing." And none of the nuclear watchdogs have said anything about it, nor has the IAEA. So this is news to us. We'll look into it, Mr. President. You fucking dipshit.
I do think if we do actually do an invasion of some kind or operation in Venezuela,
I think it'll be airstrikes. But yeah,
it won't be the same as Vietnam. I don't think South America is the same as far as
it'll be the same, probably similar to what happened with Iran. We blow up a bunch of civilian infrastructure and then go there, got him, mission accomplished.
Yeah,
probably. Hopefully, it'll start a regime change, civil war, or something like that. I don't hope that they will, but I think that's what the United States is hoping for.
Oh, okay. I was like, what do you mean, hopefully? What?
I think that they want to they want to try the failed Iran model, which is decapitation strikes that start a societal upheaval. But yeah, that's never been a way to accomplish anything.
As far as domestic political landscape, I don't think the genie can be put back in the bottle with regard to disaffection for the two main parties in the establishment.
Right.
I think all the variants of populism will continue to be ascendant online and in real life and at the polls. It will be messy, but I think people are seeing red, not in a partisan sense, but just in an emotional sense, I think.
Yep.
So we just have to keep our eyes to that. Put our energies where we can stoke that kind of real consciousness and take care of one another as best we can.
Yeah, and I think there's very little else that we can even say to do right now. I think there's, the world's terrible. It's going to get more terrible. Things are going to get crazy. But also there's going to be a lot of possibilities because of those fractures. So, touch grass sometimes. And then talk to your coworkers, talk to your neighbors. Do some things.
Right. I mean, the number
don't just be a socialist online.
The number one thing that anybody could do right now is to go shoplift Harry Potter books and throw them in the dumpster.
And on that note,
what are you going to say, Kevin? No, what are you trying to say, Kevin?
Nothing.
Okay.
Are we done?
Yeah, that is year 7.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's year 7. I'm going to leave us recording until we sign off completely because Ben will say something like super profound that should have been in the episode. If I press stop. But if I don't press stop, no, I won't.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
That's how things work.
Рабочие и крестьяне не смогут прожить без нас. Без нас некому будет установить порядок, определить работу, вернуть труду. Без нас все развалится и государство распадется.